Hare Krishna. I'm glad you finally broke the barrier and came beyond the blue line. It seemed like you were miles and miles away. But a couple of things this evening. I want to share with you another Prabhupada story. Is that okay? Yeah. But before that, this kavacha. No, I think maybe I'll save it till next year. Are you sure? Because the whole spiritual world is in here, actually. You know, by Prabhupada's grace, I've been able to spend a lot of time in India. We say Bharat nowadays. Bharat's the ancient name for India. There was a king named Bharat, but another understanding is that the word Bharat means light. So India is a land of light. Oh yes, it's a subtropical country, so you could say light, but actually it's the light of knowledge, transcendental knowledge. And this is actually India's glory. It's her gift to the world, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and everything that Prabhupada said. So I like to say Bharat. I've been living there on and off maybe half my life. And I know Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his writings, in one of his poems, one of his songs, he said he just likes to travel to those places in India where Lord Chaitanya visited. We like to travel, we like adventure, we like to go here and there. So I've spent much of my life in India traveling to the different holy places, from the top of India to the bottom and the east and the west, over and over again. And I often come to meet certain sadhus, certain rishis, different yogis who have a very kind heart, and sometimes they give me gifts. They give me gifts. And many of those gifts are in here. So I'll read the gifts I've received from many sadhus, mainly, of course, those personalities who are connected to our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. And if the person next to you faints, please, wave your hand and wake them up so they can continue the rest of the program. So, I can't tell you exactly how I got each item, because that's a 6-hour lecture, how I got each item, but I got each item, and it's authorized. I have witnesses, and I'm very blessed. So you know Raghunath Bhatta Goswami? He's one of the 6 Goswamis. The Sad Goswamis. We have Raghunath Das Goswami, have Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, his deity was Srimad Bhagavatam. We know Rupa Goswami found Govindaji, Sanatana Goswami found Madan Mohan, Gopal Bhatta Goswami had Radharaman. So all the 6 Goswamis had deities because that was one of the instructions that Lord Chaitanya gave to them, to go to Vrindavan and establish deity worship, to write books on the science of Krishna consciousness, and to rediscover all the lost places of Krishna's pastimes around Vrindavan. So they had quite a lot of instructions. So Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, he was from South India originally. He was a great scholar, and as his deity, you could say, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him a Srimad Bhagavatam, a beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam. It's about this big, like this, and about this thick, consisting of different pages, done in a very artistic way. The writing's extremely beautiful, and there's different decorations around each page. They show that Bhagavatam once a year. Once a year. You can go to the temple of Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. I know the family, the descendants very well. They're called the Bhatta brothers. And I went there, and we had a kirtan there like we had this afternoon in the kitchen. And they're all Gora Bhaktas, and they were very touched. And then they asked me to say a few words. A lot of guests were there. So in my studies, I've studied and spoken a lot about the 6 Goswamis in the last few years in particular. So I gave a 2-hour lecture about Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, and the family members, they were all very impressed. So they said, would you like a special darshan of the Srimad Bhagavatam? Yeah! So they took me to this special room, they uncovered this Bhagavatam given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. That was his life and soul. He would lecture every afternoon. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, the other Goswamis would come and listen from him. He was the favorite speaker in Vrindavan 500 years ago. And then they said, would you like to see the padukas? Padukas means the wooden shoes of Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. You imagine, the shoes worn by one of the 6 Goswamis. I said, yes, I'd really like to see. So they went to another room, and they opened up a box, and then a box, and then a box, and they brought out the wooden shoes worn by Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. And while they were bringing them out, a little piece of the shoe fell onto the ground. So I looked at it, and one of the mahants means the head of the institution or the head of that math there. He looked at it. I said, Baba, please, I'm trying to help carry on the mission of the 6 Goswamis by preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. He said, all right, shh, take it. Little piece here, this kavacha. The wooden shoe of Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. We all know that Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion is, you could say, a summary study of Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You know, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is what, it's like almost like a handbook for Krishna consciousness. It's quite lengthy, but Srila Prabhupada felt that these instructions of Rupa Goswami were so important that it was one of the first books that Prabhupada translated. And he made a summary of it so it could be easy to understand for us people of Kali Yuga. Just like this 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, those are all the wonderful pastimes of Radha and Krishna Balaram and all their associates in Vrindavan. But Prabhupada wrote a summary in the form of what? The Krishna book. The Krishna book is actually, you could say, confidential knowledge, but written in such a way that we Westerners and Easterners and Northerners and whatever, we can understand. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, penned by the hand of Rupa Goswami, that book is in Vrindavan, in the Vrindavan Research Institute. And I don't know if you know, many of you don't know that I've been speaking about Vrindavan since the first day of Kartik. I was locked in my room because of the COVID, and I decided to study and just speak about Braj, because that's the Panam Gatim, that's our destination, that's our real home. So those lectures were given now 5 years I've been giving. Every Friday, a lecture about Vrindavan is posted on my YouTube channel. So to get information, I study Prabhupada's books carefully. I also study under the tutelage of the GBC Shastra Committee books like Govinda Lilamrita and Krishna Bhavanamrita and Uddhava Sandesh and all these books by our Goswamis. They were written for the people of this age, and Prabhupada has presented them to us through his teaching. So I've carefully studied them and speak on them. So I went to that Vrindavan Research Institute because they have some of the original copies of our Acharya's books. Previously, you couldn't step 1 foot in that research center. It's a little bit further down the road than our Krishna Balaram Mandir. They weren't very friendly. But one day I walked by, and there was a new person in charge. He said, "Oh, hello, Indradyumna Swami, come. Yes, we hear you're doing some research on the Goswami's books, and would you like to see some?" I said, what? I couldn't believe it. So I came in, and there was these thousands of books in this library by our acharyas and by even unknown Vaishnavas, poets through the centuries. Some other books in the Madhva Sampradaya and the Sri Sampradaya. It's like a veritable, treasure chest of nectar. So over a few months, these books would come out, and I would read some of them, or just touch some of them, or just pray to some of them. So one day, they brought out Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I was shaking. The original Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And I saw Rupa Goswami's handwriting. And in the in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's described that Rupa Goswami's handwriting, I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, was just like rows of pearls. It's true. When I saw it, it was so beautiful. So we saw that book, and as the person in charge was putting it back in, a little piece fell off onto the table. I said, Maya, mother. She looked at me, she said, you're a disciple of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He's the one who's taken the teachings of Rupa Goswami, who are meant for all the people in Kali Yuga to become fully Krishna conscious, lovers of the divine couple. She said, shh, take it. So don't tell anyone, okay? Picked it up. Here. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's here, along with Raghunath Bhatt Goswami's chapals. Jiva Goswami has been described by many scholars as the most prolific writer in Vedic culture. Of course, Srila Vyasadeva, he's the one who wrote down all the Vedic scriptures. But Jiva Goswami, there's a whole institute, is it in Kashi, in Benares? There's a library of Jiva Goswami's books. Other of his books are in Vrindavan. And one of those books is Krishna Sandarbha. Krishna Sandarbha. Many of our Oxford devotee scholars are studying these books. Anyway, same thing happened. Jiva Goswami's, I don't know how long he'd been in hiding in storage, but they brought it out. Baba. All right, you think. So I have here some of Krishna Sandarbha by Jiva Goswami. Hare Krishna. Who was it? Was it Jagannath Das Babaji or Gorkishore Das Babaji? Someone asked him how to develop love of God. So he said, do you remember, he said, it only takes 5 paisa. Was it Jagannath Das Babaji or Gorkishore? I think it's Jagannath Das Babaji. He said, if you want to develop love of God, it only costs 5 paisa. What? Yes, you go to the marketplace and you buy Prem Bhakti Chandrika and Prarthana by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, because those, in our tradition, those books have been read profusely and again and again and again by all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Prarthana and Prem Bhakti Chandrika. And you may not know, but many of the songs that we sing come from Prarthana and come from Prem Bhakti Chandrika. Many of the songs are just part of ISKCON's history, but they were written by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So that Acharya said, if you want a love of God, you go buy those books and just read those books. And those sing those songs and learn those poems. And one of them is Prarthana. It's actually, if you go to Vrindavan, you go to Rasa Bihari Lal's bookstore, like many devotees go. There's copies, Prarthana and Prem Bhakti. I've been reading them for 52 years. They're the love of my life. And one day, they brought out Prarthana. And written by Narottam Das Thakur, and he does little drawings. It's so cute. He draw little drawings in the book. And when they're taking it out of the parcel, there was a little tiny piece at the bottom of the parcel. Aya Baba. So in here is part of Prarthana. The very last kurta that Prabhupada wore when he departed this world to go back to Goloka Vrindavan, one of the assistants who was taking care of that final ceremony, of course they took that kurta off and dressed Prabhupada for his samadhi, but that last kurta that he wore, that devotee, she gave me a little piece of Prabhupada's kurta. So that's very dear to my heart. You can also applaud that. Now, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, of course, his wife Vishnupriya was devastated. She was totally devastated. He left in the middle of the night without any warning. He went to Katwa, crossed the river, the Ganges, little north to Katwa, and there he met Keshav Bharati Maharaj. There's a whole pastime. I gave many lectures about that also in my series. And he took sannyas from Keshav Bharati. We visited that sacred place not long ago. There you have the hair samadhi of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He had long, beautiful, flowing hair. And for sannyas, you have to cut the hair and put on the sannyas robes and become renunciate. So it wasn't a blissful ceremony. All the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, why? You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why do you have to become a renounced sannyasi and eat little and sleep on the ground and, bear all types of, you're the Supreme Enjoyer. But for us, Mahaprabhu took sannyas so he could be free to travel and preach. But he left behind a beautiful wife, Vishnupriya. So one day, as Mahaprabhu was going through Navadvip, he passed by his former residence. And of course, the sannyasi is forbidden to see his wife or again or have any family matters. But as he passed that area, he remembered Vishnupriya, and he knew that she was suffering in his separation. You can imagine. Separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by an intimate associate. So he took his padukas, he took his wooden shoes, and he gave it to one of his assistants, and he said, "You give this to my former wife, Vishnupriya." She took those shoes and she worshipped them as non-different than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. She also had a deity made of her husband, former husband. Dhamashwara Mahaprabhu. That deity that she worshipped was very tall, like as tall as this yellow ribbon down to the ground. Big deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So daily, Vishnupriya would worship that deity of Mahaprabhu along with his shoes. So whenever we go to Mayapur and we take devotees on parikrama, we make sure we go to that temple, Dhamashwara Mahaprabhu. We take darshan of Vishnupriya's beloved Lord, and not the padukas because they hide them. They don't want people to touch them or they become contaminated anyway. They're in a silver box and a silver box and a bigger silver box. But because we love the sadhus, we love the pandits, the pujaris who are taking care of these real treasures of Gaudiya Vaishnava history, when we go there, we talk with them, we make friends with them, sometimes we share prasadam with them. So one day, the Mahant of Dhamashwara Mahaprabhu, he said, "Would you like to have a close darshan of Dhamashwara Mahaprabhu? Because you have to see him from a distance." I said, "Yes." He said, "Shh, come with me." So he went around, went back in, he closed the door, and I was sitting face to face with this most merciful form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, worshipped by Vishnu Priya. Then he said, would you like to see the padukas, the very wooden shoes? I said, well, of course. All right, come with me. He went in the back, and it took 5 keys to open up the boxes. 5 keys, because there were one box, one box, you open it up, and the box, and there's a little box and a small box. The original box is this big, and you take it out, then there's another box, you have to open that. 5. So he had 5 keys. And then he got the last box, and he opened it up, and there were the very shoes, the padukas worn by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before my eyes. I couldn't believe it. Just to have darshan of those shoes was enough. It was like, like the result of all the devotional service that I've done, I was able to have darshan of Lord Chaitanya's shoes. So I said, can you take Lord Chaitanya's shoes out of the box? We haven't done that in 25 years. Yeah, Baba. Vaishnavas have very soft hearts. I've noticed that. They have very soft hearts, these Brajbasis. He said, all right. I took them up, and then he put them in my hands. These big shoes, and I put them to my heart. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhaktivinoda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. He said, can I have them back? I said, no. Maharaj, just give me a few more seconds. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. He said, can I have them back? No, I said, wait. And I put them on my head. And then I gave them to Kartamashi, and his father was there, and we were sharing the shoes. And then there was a phone call, so the Baba had to leave, and we were alone with the shoes. We were passing him back and praying and everything like that. So when he came back, he took them, and as he put them in the box, a little piece fell off. I'm not exaggerating. Somehow, I don't know, maybe it's just again, like Shakespeare said, this mercy, it falleth from heaven like a gentle rain upon those below. Those little piece. And I didn't even ask for it, I just picked it up. And I said, can I have it? He said, well, you already have it. And I'm not going to take it back from you because you're serving the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this kavacha is a small piece of Lord Chaitanya. After the departure of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the original second generation. We have ISKCON second generation, third generation. I think we have fourth generation, whatever. There were 3 devotees who took up the cause. It's another lecture. Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasacharya, and Shyamananda Pandit. You've heard those stories, right? How Mahaprabhu was having kirtan on the banks of the Padma River, which is near our Mayapur center, actually, temple. And Mahaprabhu they're having big kirtan, Nitai was leading, and then Mahaprabhu, Narottam, 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 and he fell unconscious. All the devotees, they never heard, there was no one in the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that was named Narottam. So Nitai, Mahaprabhu, come back to consciousness. Who's Narottam? So Mahaprabhu said, Narottam is a great devotee who will appear after our departure when we go back to the spiritual world. And this devotee, Narottam and others, they'll take up the Sankirtan movement and push it even further forward. It's a long story. There's a book by my god sister, Sitala Devi Dasi, called Narottam. And she researched that life of Narottam. So Narottam with Srinivas and Shyamananda, it's a long story. They preached for about 50 or 60 years, kept the movement going, heroic deeds, great, but very deep rasic devotees. You read Narottam's Pratana or Prem Bhakti Chandrika, you see what is real, what are we really looking for? What is the depth we can go in Krishna consciousness to achieve Prem Bhakti? So the three of these boys, they studied under Jiva Goswami, and then they traveled, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They held the first Gaur Purnim festival in Keturi, and Jadava Mata came, and it's a long story. But Shyamananda Pandit, he, in that group of those three, he preached mainly in Orissa. And he's very famous there even today, you travel. Inside here, one Baba, he gave me a small piece of, because it's worshipped, all these items are worshipped. The dhoti, 500 years old dhoti of Shyamananda Pandit is worshipped in a village in Orissa. Every day they go, and they have artik, and they offer bhog, and they dance and they chant. This old temple, his dhoti, the pujari gave me a small piece of Shyamananda Pandit's dhoti. If you were to go like this, it'd disappear. It's almost just like dust. I have it inside here. Now, I've spoken a lot about Kambi village, where there's a stone pillar established by Lord Balaram. Have any of you heard that lecture about Kambi, where Lord Balaram, 5,000 years ago, he established this pillar? Have you heard that lecture? Do you listen to my lectures? You should. This is all about Braj. 700 lectures about Vrindavan. So in one pastime, Balaram took the cowherd boys to the frontier of Vrindavan. And then there was whatever there was after the frontier, the last, edge of Braj. He took them there, and then he put a pillar at that spot, a big pillar at that spot. And he told the cowherd boys, don't go beyond this pillar because it's the world of illusion, the world of Maya. So boys will be boys, and Balaram was taking prasadam, and some of the boys, they said, let's just go see what it's like and we'll come back. So they would, go a little and they'd run back. Oh, Maya didn't catch me. Did she catch you? They go another, and Maya, it's a whole pastime. You can listen to it. It's a beautiful pastime. So that pillar that was established by Baladev, 5,000, it's still there. It's like a green stone. It's very beautiful. And I went there. I take devotees on parikrama. You're all invited. Every Kartik, I take 200, 300, 400, 500 devotees on parikrama around Vrindavan. We stay in Braj and we go out every day to different holy places, have kirtan with Bhattahari and Madhava and Sri Prahlad and me, and I tell all the pastimes. We went there. It's way far because it's the edge of Vrindavan. And I was there, and I put my head on the pillar, and a little piece fell off. I didn't have to ask anybody. It was just a tiny little piece of the pillar, established by Lord Balaram, emphasizing don't go beyond your spiritual life. Don't go back in the material world. So I took it and I put it in here. There's one very beautiful book, Ujjvala Nilamani, and it's written by Rupa Goswami. It's a very beautiful book. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur did a commentary on that book in the 1700s. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, you've heard a lot about him. He's like a modern day Rupa Goswami. He just, so many things are not there in the Vedas, but these realized pure devotees from the spiritual world, they reveal these things. And I've said many times, even here at this Bhakti Fest, that whatever is written by a pure devotee of the Lord is as good as the Shastra. We have to always, Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. Everything we say has to be confirmed by Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. So when the Guru speaks, that elevated Paramahamsa, Paribhachikacharya, Mahabhagavata, devotee like Vishwanath Chakrabarti, whatever he says, absolute truth. In the Vrindavan Research Center, they brought out that book, his commentary on Ujjvala Nilamani. And again, little piece broke off. Baba. He's getting used to it, but okay, Maharaj, take it. That's inside this kavacha. In Radhakund, how many have you been to Radhakund? So in Radhakund, you know, when you go around the Kund, off to the left there's one little street where there's a Gaudiya Math Center, which was previously the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, like many of our historic Vaishnavas or Acharyas, they would spend sometimes in Bengal and sometimes in Vrindavan, and then back to Bengal and then back to Vrindavan. You know, they're actually non-different. Mayapur, Vrindavan, Mayapur, Vrindavan. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has a residence in Mayapur, just across the Jalangi River. He has a home there. I'm sure you may have visited that. But he also had a residence at Radhakund. And you can go into that house, and there's the chair that Bhaktivinoda Thakur sat in. There's the bed that Bhaktivinoda Thakur slept in. There's some of his utensils. I go there, I put my head. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Vaname Nama. How does it go? Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Bharayate. I pray like that. And also, his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, would sometimes stay with him. And he stayed, and sometimes he'd leave things behind, like his shoes, his padukas, wooden shoes with like a canvas top like that. So many, many years ago, I went there. This is in the 1970s. And I put my head on the shoes, and I was rubbing like this, and, you know, so a little piece came off onto the table. And the Baba said, all right, you take it. No, that's how it happens. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's shoes are in here. I'm only halfway. Chaitanya Charitamrita, written by who? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Kaviraj means that he was a great poet, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we don't know where the whole book is, but we know where parts of it are. It's accepted by Vaishnava scholars. In Vrindavan, there's a mat that has Anchilila, which is what? The final pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That book is there. It's hidden away, again, box. They don't show, maybe they'll show Narendra Modi, you know, when he comes to Vrindavan, or some big mahant or something like that, but not us. But I just wanted to be around it. I just wanted to be in the atmosphere where that book was, you know? I knew it was there. I just wanted to be as close to it as I could. So I went to that temple. It's an old temple, and there's 5 old Babajis, Gaudiya Math, Vaishnavas, very old. Old. You know, bent over. They can't walk straight up like that. They just do 192 rounds a day. And they protect that sacred literature. Chaitanya Charitamrita was the favorite book of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. I just wanted to be around it. So I went with about 7 or 8 or 10 devotees, right? And we went in there and we started a Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namaste and the Shikrit and Hare Krishna. And, you know, kind of like we did when we came into the Prasadam hall. You know, it's got soft kirtan. We were chanting. But then it lasted 5 hours. This was nothing. We literally flew through the air. We landed on the ground and our footprints went into the marble. we had this rockin' sock'em smoking kirtan, twirling with the drum and dancing, and all the old Babajis who could hardly move. Oh, they were dancing. No, I swear that the Mahanti must have been 100 years old. He was dancing and twirling and going around. We were like all together. Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted one day, all the sampradayas, Sri Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, Nimbarka Sampradaya, one day they'll all join the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. There'll be one sampradaya, of which ISKCON's the main arm. We have a lot of responsibility ahead for us. So that type of kirtan brought all those babas very close. And at the end, Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribhajaka Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta, and they went, Jai! And it was dripping. I was like, just came out of the Yamuna or something. There wasn't a dry piece of cloth, and I was sweating, and I was exhausted. This kirtan was kindergarten. We're just training you up. Let's give an applause for the boys. They did really good in that kirtan today. So rocking. Madanga. All we had was Mridanga, kartals, a little accordion, and Patri had a special instrument, a plate, and he had a spoon. And he played it from the beginning to the end. Those are the type of kirtans that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had, where you abandon just everything and just absorb yourself in glorifying Krishna by singing his sweet holy names. I love those kirtans. We have our kirtan melas and our bhajans, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But that type of kirtan, I feel we're really connected with Panchatattva, just giving our hearts out. So thank you, all of you, for chanting and dancing. Give yourselves a big applause. So when we finished, I paid my obeisances to all the Babajis, and then the head money said, no, you can't go. I think, oh God, he wants us to continue the kirtan. It was 5 hours. I was speaking like this. He said, I want to show you something very special. And as soon as he said that, I knew it because there was only one deity there. That's the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I want to show you something very special. And he went, wow. So we went up these steps, and to the top of this old 300 or 400-year-old temple. We got to the top. There was some kind of attic there. And we went inside. There was a big box there, a big lock. In India, they have these blocks like this. I don't know how useful they are, but they're really big. Big key. He unlocked the box. Then he took another box out and another box out. I think there were 5 boxes until the box was about this big. And he was trembling. His hand was trembling because they don't ever open that box. And he went in, and he took the parchment, he took the actual handwritten palm leaves of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anti Leela, and put it right before us. He said, drink deeply with your eyes. Chaitanya Charitamrita by the hand of Kaviraj Goswami. How many verses do we always quote from Chaitanya? It's our life and soul. There it was before me. And he actually let me turn. I had to pick the page up very carefully, put them to the side like that. Wow, be careful. Shh. And I was holding it like this, and holding it. We stayed a long time, just praying, bowing down, begging for mercy, begging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to continue being his modern day representatives of spreading Krishna consciousness to every town and village. Well, let the obstacles come. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said one time, Lord, difficulties, problems, inconveniences in your service, encountering those difficulties and obstacles, he said, that is my greatest pleasure. To spread of spiritual movement in the material world. It just doesn't make sense. People came here to forget God, and we're trying to remind them. So there's a lot of difficulties. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, those difficulties, they're my greatest pleasure in serving you. So I was thinking, what have we done to have this darshan? So as the Mahant was putting it back in, we looked inside, and there was a small piece at the bottom, about this big, small piece of the Ancha Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita. I didn't ask for it this time. I swear. He picked it up. He said, Maharaj, you keep this. You're a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila. The world knows about this book because of your guru. So you are his representative. You keep this. It's here. Oh, wow. You still awake? You know the pastime where Lord Chaitanya went through the Jarikhanda forest on his way to Vrindavan, and there he made the animals dance and chant Hare Krishna, tigers, bears, elephants, snakes. You know, he was going through with Balabhadra Bhattacharya. I still have my cold. Can you believe I did that kirtan with a cold? Oh my God, give me a little applause. It was Patri's plate with the spoon that made the kirtan. And Maharaj was playing, it's like a 16th century harmonium recording. So there's a place where when Mahaprabhu was going through the jungle, they came to an area where there were lots of tigers, wild tigers. And Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he was like frozen, like, Mahaprabhu, we can't do this. Raki Krishna Mare Ke, Mare Krishna Raki Ke. Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you. And if Krishna wants to save you, no one can kill you. But Balabhadra, he's still a little nervous. But the tigers came, animals came, and Mahaprabhu said, chant Hare Krishna. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They actually chanted audibly Hare Krishna mantra. And they became free from all envy, and the deer were dancing with the tigers, and the snakes were dancing with the mongooses. And they're all natural enemies, but this all goes away. This is the peace formula, chanting Hare Krishna. Culturally many, but spiritually one. So that kirtan, I always wondered, you know, where was it? And we were on our way to Bodh Gaya, where Lord Buddha had attained enlightenment under a big banyan tree. I love to go to the holy places. For no other reason to go to the holy place. I don't need an excuse. I can just take off whenever I want and go and get some spiritual inspiration. But we passed by, we were told in this area of the jungle, because Bihar is still jungly to some degree, one of the poorer states in India, someone said, deep in the forest, there's the spot where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced with the wild animals. So one sadhu we met, he knew that area very well. He jumped in our van, and we drove there. It took us several days. And we came into the jungle, and then we had to walk. And then there's a spot where some sadhus have erected a shrine, saying that this is the exact place that this pastime took place. And, you know, I was saying, okay, I mean, there's shrines everywhere. Anyone can put up a shrine. But the proof was that when we walked around this area, about as big as where you all sitting now, that kirtan caused the rock to melt in ecstasy, just like there's footprints of Krishna. In Vrindavan, you can go several places where the rock just melted in ecstasy when Krishna was standing there playing his flute. So this kirtan was so ecstatic. But that's kirtan, we're just kindergartners. That kirtan was so ecstatic that whoever was in that kirtan, the rocks melted and their footprints are there. And I saw the footprints of the elephants who were dancing on two legs in Mahaprabhu's kirtan. I saw the snakes, the snakes are going like this and their heads are up. Instead of biting, they're chanting. I saw the ground where it melted in ecstasy. Even the skin, imprint of the skins of the snakes is there. And the squirrels, and even the insects, you can see where they landed. And you can see that where the imprints of the tigers and the deer, they're like intertwined because they're dancing on two legs. So there's two tiger footprints and two deer footprints, and they're like dancing all over the place, all over the place. There's just so many animals. Nobody could carve that. Nobody could, it's not just some natural volcanic thing because everything's hard stone for miles and miles. That was the very place. And they built a shrine on one part of it and said, come on in the shrine. You want to see some footprints? See the footprints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he was dancing. So we came in. And lo and behold, Mahaprabhu's feet were this big. And there in the rock, a little elevated, because the rock goes up a little bit, were the footprints of the Yuga Avatar, the Supreme Personality of God. Very clear. 10 toes, heels, very clear. No one could have carved it or imitated. By nature's way, the stone melted, and I just bowed down, kaboom, and put my head on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's footprint. Namo Mahabadanaya Krishna Prem Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Nande Go to see Namaha. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. Thank you, Mahaprabhu, for sending me your pure representative, my dear beloved spiritual master. I've given my life to him. I can do this Sankirtan, preaching life after life after life after life until all the desires of my spiritual master on this planet are fulfilled. I took this vow. And I said also, you came to introduce Braj Bhakti. So I've been giving lectures on Braj Bhakti for many years now. Please just give me a drop of prema. I'm not asking as a reward, but if you're so kind, just help me enter into the wonderful pastimes of Radha Shyam and Sri Vrindavan Dham. Like that. And then I felt this little trickle of blood going down my face. So I stood up. And part of Mahaprabhu's footprint, the stone was embedded in my forehead here. Because I fell down, boom, like Dandavats means you goes down on the ground and you say your prayers. So a piece of the footprint had been embedded here. I've got a little scar. And I pulled it out and I put it in here. And then we went to Bodh Gaya. And of course, the Buddhist philosophy, Nirvishesha Shunyavad, is different than our philosophy, but it was a philosophy for a particular time, place, and circumstance. We don't need to go in that. People were misusing the Vedas to kill animals, etc. So he taught nonviolence and many other things as well, but he's one of the Dasa avatars, incarnations of Krishna. So I wanted to go see where he attained enlightenment. I wanted to sit under the tree and chant, not Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Obeisances to he who sits on the lotus, the lotus flower, but I wanted to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. The same place that Buddha attained enlightenment. These places become permeated with the mood and the service and the mission of these great personalities. It stays there. It doesn't go by their presence. Actually, these personalities are the revealers of the Dham. For us, Prabhupada is the revealer of the Dham. So I sat under that tree, and I was looking for something I could put in here. Well, they don't have any remnants of Lord Buddha, at least there, but that tree witnessed the enlightenment of this incarnation. Krishna's avatari. He's not avatar, Krishna's avatari. He's the source of all the avatars. So this was one of Krishna's places. He was there for. So I'm thinking, well, there's nothing. I always want to get something to take home. Nothing. And then the Mahant, the main person, came and sat down to me. I said, Baba, can I have a little piece of the tree? No, you can't even touch the tree. Can I have a leaf? No, you can't have a leaf. As soon as the leaves fall, they pick them up and they put them somewhere, they make them into ashes or something and use them in their ceremonies. The tree is so sacred. So we're sitting there, and the leaves weren't even falling. There's no bark. You can't really touch the tree. They have a fence around it. Thinking, please, Lord Buddha, I'd just like to remember you and imbibe your instructions in the time you pay. And also, boing, a berry from the tree hit my head and bounced on the ground. I went, thank you, Krishna. I didn't ask anybody. It's just a berry. I put that berry and I put it in here. Are you still with me? Okay. I have till what, 6? 6:15. Well, you cross the line and I'm crossing the line too. You cross the blue line, I'm crossing the line I'm supposed to stop. I'm not going to stop because I have a few more things to say. So you can just say that to your authorities. When the 6 Goswamis were in Vrindavan, and they were all, by Krishna's mercy, finding their Ishtadevs. Madan Mohan and Radharaman Radharaman. When Gopal Bhatta Goswami was worshiping this particular Shalagram Shila, he went to the Kali Gandaki. Kali Gandaki ki! Jai! We're the Nepalese devotees. Raise your hand if you're Nepalese. So everyone else be quiet. Nepalese devotee. Kali Gandaki ki! Jai! Gopal Bhatta Goswami ki! Srila Prabhupada ki! Mahavishnu Swami ki! Go, Premanande! Let's give a round of applause from the Nepalese guy. I love Nepal. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami went to that river because he had a dream in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, go to Nepal and get Sri Hari. So he went to the river, and these natural stones, they're not stones, they're shilas, but they're self-manifested forms of the Lord Shaligram Shila. So he brought back 12, but all the other Goswamis, they had big deities, Radha Shyamasundar, Radha Govinda, Radha Madan Mohan. They'd get to dress their deities with various shringara, different jewels and different clothes, and he just had these small Shaligram Shilas. So he's thinking, I want to dress Krishna too. So the night before the appearance day of Lord Nrsimhadev, he went to sleep. And in the morning, one of those Shaligram Shilas manifested as one of ISKCON's most beloved deities, very dear to all the ISKCON devotees and other Vaishnavas. Radharamanji, he appeared, manifest from a Shaligram Shila. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri at that time, he was a sannyasi living in Jagannath Puri. This is the Antya-lila. When he heard that Gopal Bhatta Goswami had found his deity and he was established in the worship, Lord Chaitanya was very pleased with him. So as a sign of gratitude and mercy and love, he sent his own asana. Mahaprabhu used to sit on an asana, not like a big asana. He was a sannyasi. It was a wooden platform like this, about this big and about like this. He sat on it. He sent that as a gift to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, along with one of his chadars, one of his cloths. Many years before, Padmanabh Goswami, who's one of the Sevites in the Radharaman temple, many years, 1980s, I went there and have darshan of Radharaman. He took me upstairs to his room, and there he had a piece of that cloth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I asked him for it and asked him for a part. He gave me a little piece, and I have a little piece of that on my altar in a frame. there. Beautiful. And I also have a piece of Lord Nityananda's turban that was kept also in the Namashwara Mahaprabhu temple. On another place, they have the actual turban of Lord Nityananda. So on my altar, I have that cloth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given by Padmanabha Goswami, and a little piece of the turban given me by the Mahant of Lord Chaitanya, and that's my Gaurnitai deities. Some people see my altar, where's your Gaurnitai? They're right there, but they're so small. They look like cloth, yes. They're non-different than Lord Chaitanya and non-different than Lord Nityananda. And at the 500-year celebration of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, celebrated by Gaudiya Vaishnavas all over India and around the world, instead of taking deities around procession in Navadvip, they took that cloth, a piece of cloth of Gauranga and a piece of cloth of Lord Nityananda, and put them on a chariot and paraded them around like Gaurnitai deities. So that's my Gaurnitai deities. I have that cloth. But the asana, I always wanted to see. I love to find this nectar because it's our heritage. It's so dear to my heart. And I was always wondering, where is that asana? You know, because on Radharaman Temple, they have it behind Radharaman. You can't see it. So it's a long story, but I can't tell you the whole story, but I've got a little piece of that asana. Clap. Oh, a few more. Maybe I'll save it for next year. Oh. You know, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is it in Chaitanya Bhagavat, where he's going to the latrine? And he's going into the latrine. It's not a clean place. We call it a WC, a water closet now. It's a polite way of saying latrine. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to the latrine, he was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. But he would always bite his tongue before he went in, because the latrine's not a clean place. So he would stop chanting Hare Krishna and go into the latrine. So one day in Jagannath Puri, there's this young boy, his name's Gopal. You know, one of the sons of one of the pandas there, and he sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bite his tongue, stop chanting Hare Krishna before he goes to the latrine. He says, Mahaprabhu, why are you why are you stopping chanting Hare Krishna when you go in the latrine? And Mahaprabhu said, it's not a clean place. But the little boy said, but Krishna's name is never polluted. It's always transcendental. It's free from all material inebrities. It can't be affected. It can't be touched by the material energy. It's Krishna himself. He's always transcendental. And he was right. And there's no hard and fast rules for chanting those names. You can chant them anywhere and everywhere. You know, we have to get ready for the puja. We have to get ready for the fire yajna. But there's no rules. You can chant Hare Krishna anywhere. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Mahaprabhu thanked that little boy, and actually he took him on as a servant. And that boy grew into a teenager. And because he'd instructed such a nice instruction to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu called him Gopal Guru. And he wrote some very deep scriptures and deep shastras as he grew into a young man. So he was a servant. So one time he took the kopans of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the fresh kopans of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he stole them. And he put them in a silver urn with a top on it. And this is at the Gambhira temple. You've heard of the Gambhira temple. It's the house of Kashi Mishra during Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. It's where the Gambhira room is underneath the temple. And there's some beautiful deities. Kashi Mishra worship deities, Radha Krishna, exquisitely beautiful. We go there all the time. We do Parikrama in Puri. He worshipped those deities of Radha Kanta, Shri Radha Kanta. I always go there. But under those deities, he put this silver urn and covered it with dirt. But they take those kopans out once a year. They take out that silver urn and they display these beautiful kopans of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in 1930, there was a very renowned sadhu who came there, and out of respect for him, they gave him a small piece of Lord Chaitanya's kopans. And that was handed down from guru to disciple, guru to disciple, guru to disciple in the early 2002 or something. And I met one of the personalities who had a piece of those kopans. I said, Baba. So in here are Lord Chaitanya's kopans. There's a Govardhan Shila in here, a little Govardhan Shila. I do Manasa Puja. There's a Dwarka Shila in here, and there's a very small Shalagram Shila with a chakra from Nepal. I carry your country with me. So Sudarsan, chakra, Shalagram Shila, Govardhan Shila, and Dwarka Shila. The Dwarka Shilas come from Dwarka. And if you have shalagrams, the benefit of worshiping the shalagram is enhanced by worshiping the Dwarkas. I have it all here. And I can smell, this is solid metal. It's been fused, closed. But I smell musk. Because one sadhu, did I mention the other day, or that was in Sydney, that the musk deer, during mating season, the male deer, he produces little white granules in his navel of musk. This is the original source of musk, not some factory using chemicals creating the beautiful odor. But in the old days, the sadhus would take a silver spoon and they would gently go into the navel. They capture the deer, but not kill it, but just capture it. Take a silver spoon and bring out these little white granules and grind them with like sandalwood oil, and then that they would offer to the deity. That scent, I have some musk oil from 1895, because it's illegal now to do that to the deer. They were killing the deer to get the musk a century ago, so the Indian government forbade. But I got some of that musk. It's a long story. But you take a little drop of that, you put it on your hand, stays for 1 week. You take a shower, you use soap, you scrub. It's so potent. It's so amazing, that musk. There were wars fought over these perfumes and these spices coming from India to the West. That's another story. But I have some real musk. And I met a sadhu not long ago, and he had 3 granules, white granules. I begged him, please, Baba. He said, why? He said, you don't need musk. You're a sannyasi. You don't wear perfume. I said, no, but I've got God in here, and he loves musk and oud and sandalwood and rose for his pleasure. Oh, you have God? Yes, I have God in here. Giriraj is here, Shaligram's here, Surasnath Chakra is here. He gave me the 3 again. I put him there. I can still smell it right through the metal. So that's the crowning little piece inside this kavacha. It is like the spiritual world. I wear it with great pride, not that I'm a great devotee or anything, but just to be close to all those sacred items is a source of great inspiration. And I serve these articles by giving my life and my soul to the mission of my spiritual master to spread Krishna consciousness to every town and village. That's my seva to their lordships within here. And I'm very glad this evening I could share this nectar with you. And maybe before I go back to my cottage tonight, if you want, I could put it on your head. Or if we're too busy tonight, it's already 6:30. I think someone else is speaking, or there's going to be kirtan. I could do it next year or the next year. Who thinks I should do it tonight? This is going to take. What happened? The Maharaj, they were up to 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, well, there's this long line, Some people cheated. They came back in the line for 2 times and 3 times. We'll just have a line instead of a mob. You make a line, and then at that point, and you go